where we put that lotion. Yeah, so if you could bring me my laptop, I can open it up. Hi, I'm Dafina Smith. I am the founder and CEO of Covet and Mane here in the heart of New York City. My ride or die products, this first one is by Skin Better. I love them. It's the Alpha Ret Overnight Cream. So it's a retinoid, and anyone in their 20s, if you can get a head start using a retinol every night, it makes such a difference when you get to be my age. I love this. It's like a really gentle delivery of retinol. It doesn't dry out your skin every single night. I love this. My other two ride or die products I cannot live without is this pen. I'm really obsessive about pens. Not obsessive, particular. So this is the Muji pen. It just has like the perfect glide. It's a ballpoint pen, but it's a 0.38 millimeter. So it writes really neat and minimal, and it allows you to get this really specific type of, I'm very anal about how the pen glides and how my craftsmanship and my writing matches where I'm at. And this really matches the way that I calibrate on paper, if that makes sense. So I also am really particular about making sure that I always use this pen when I'm writing in my bullet journal. So I've been bullet journaling since 2015, and I'm very specific about the type of notebook in which I bullet journal. So I'm a huge fan of the Lectitern. It's an indexed notebook that is dot matrixed and it's numbered. I always have a chaos list. I always have different projects, my goals, my intention, and then every one of my bullet journals starts out with my mission statement and my vision statement, and I look at that pretty much daily. And then this is how I plan out my week, my month, and it contains all of my millions of thoughts. But what's nice is they're all indexed right here with my lovely pen. So I love these two. This is something that I always have by my side. 3 things that are always in my bag. Number 1 is always this Color Science brush on sunblock. This is another thing about really being vigilant about sun protection early on. I put this on about 3 times a day, especially when I'm driving in my car in the summer. It's a really nice, lightweight, it's powdered, tinted, mineral. It's just really, really great, and I love it. So I use this a lot. The other thing that is always in my purse are my AirPods. I love podcasts. I love Spotify. Apparently I'm a huge St. John fan. I'm in the 0.1% of St. John fans. So very proud of that. The other thing that I'm always in my purse is Fenty Gloss Bomb. I love so many of the colors. They last, it's talkable, but this is a really great everyday soft feminine color. So my money mantra is money flows to me easily and freely. So if I could go back and talk to myself 2018 when I was visioning Covet and Mane, the first thing I would tell myself is to think bigger and 100 times bigger than what I was initially thinking when I started a company. Step into education and certification from the get-go. I think it's really important to just be able to speak to the entire 360 of how you want your product to live, from how the stylist installs it, blends it, but even speaking and educating their client about it. And I just think that that is so important, and I would have really honed in on that from day one. Product and process are everything. So I was always very clear on the product and the innovation necessary to bring a product to market, right? You need to be obsessed with your product. It just makes it so much easier to market. But your product can only go as far as the process that empowers it. The final thing I would say is buy more hair. It's really scary when you're starting a brand, especially when you're self-funded. There's no investor money. It's your money. You're spending more than you ever imagine, and it ties back to my first point of thinking bigger, is trusting that your product is amazing and that your brand and your vision is strong enough to support. And I just would have, written bigger orders going in. So my highlight moment of running Covet and Mane has been this past October of 2022. We did the experience, and it was our second year doing it, and there was just something about it. One, I was really proud of my team, and so it was something that was really a collaborative reflection of all of their talents, and I wasn't involved in every single element of it, and yet it still came and aligned with exactly what my vision is, and I think that that's such that's what you want as a leader. And we also just had the right mix of people. All the students just brought this really magical energy. They were so collaborative, and it created this I was just really proud of the energy in the room. I always say I'm looking for ease, excellence, and efficiency, and I felt like that trifecta came together at the experience 2022. As founder of Covet and Mane, I've really had to overcome understanding how to have a creative process that is laser focused on my vision and not being too influenced by what's going on in the industry, and just trusting my vision. 3 factors that separate the best artists in the hair extension industry. One is that consistency matters over artistry. And I think that that's really hard to hear sometimes is in an artistic industry, but for the client and I have the bird's eye view of salons who have grown very tremendously successful businesses. The common thread a lot of times is the consistency. It just matters. I think that, if a client can come in and know that their outcome might be different, right? But the process, the greeting of the taking the photos, the explaining, the way to book, the making sure that they return, and the cycle and the touching base with them after. Having processes for things that are fairly artistic seems counterintuitive, but that has usually been the common thread of the most successful stylists that I've seen in the industry. The second most important thing is tying back to what I just said about process. For some people, you might just recognize you're never going to be that person if you're truly artistic. If that's the case, I've seen it also be super successful where the artist just gets to be the artist, but they need to have someone who handles everything else that works in synchronicity with them. And so it's really that artist-manager relationship, and having somebody step in to handle all of the financials, someone who understands when you're overbooking yourself, or is really able to gatekeep the right types of clients for you to grow your business. So the third factor that separates the best stylists in the industry is I've noticed they're all great storytellers, and branding matters. And branding really is, in essence, amazing storytelling. And so I've observed that some of the best, most successful salons and stylists are really good at copywriting. They're good at taking photography. They're really good at making sure that there's a consistent through line of how their brand, their story, their client experience is represented throughout a digital and physical landscape, and they really know how to weave in that aspirational aspect, but still speak to a very practical nature. And I think that those who get that we're storytellers, and hair is part of the story that we tell. One thing that I've done financially that significantly contributed to my growth has been to pay myself a salary. And a lot of business owners tend to run these amazing businesses, and they don't charge the business for the value that the owner is bringing. And once I started to pay myself a real salary and contribute to my retirement accounts, I started to have a very different relationship with my business. And it really started for me to look at how does my business take care of me? Not just how do I constantly take and give to my business. And once you strike that balance, there's some respect and just a different relationship that I started having with the business. And I feel like it's much more balanced once I started doing that. And it's also protected my family in case, anything were to happen. I haven't just given it all on the line to this business that never took care of me back. So my one piece of financial advice is that you really need to understand money and the way it flows through your business in a way that makes sense and resonates with you. And so for me, I love looking at my P&L, but my P&L speaks to me and how I think about money and what's important to me. It still adheres to general principles, but when you're spending your own money and you're a self-funded business like many of us are, it really needs to connect with you. So join me for our masterclass on letting your business work for you, not just working for your business. And in my masterclass, we'll go over things like truly understanding your numbers in a way that makes sense for you, putting that money to work, the best use of capital, and growing your business in a way that's intentional with your relationship with money and understanding how that all comes together.